In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the finest strategies that will help you ace the SAT Math. The SAT Math is very practical. It's all about the right approach and the right strategies that you adopt. It's just like you're learning driving. If your approach is not right, you might get stuck in a traffic jam or you might get involved in an accident. Similarly, we have the SAT Math. Although it's not that serious, but if your approach is not right, if your strategy is not right, you will get stuck. Let's look at some of the finest strategies that have worked for my students, and as we move along, I'll keep adding more of these. So the first and the most important strategy is to always underline the target answer. This is extremely important. This is so important that I've started using this strategy in reading and writing as well. It will literally save you from a lot of silly mistakes. Let me explain through an example. The width of a rectangular field is 1/4 of its length. If the length is 16, what is the perimeter of the field? Over here, the target answer is this. We have to calculate the perimeter. Okay, let's solve this question. The width is 1/4 of its length. So if the length is 16, first we calculate the width, which comes out to be 1/4 into 16. It's 4. Look at the first option choice. That is how the examiners trick you. They know how to play around with you, how to manipulate you. And trust me, in that pressure zone, most of the students will choose A and move on. So before choosing your answer, you have to look back to your target answer and whether you have calculated it or not. So you will immediately realize that you are not done yet. You have to calculate the perimeter, which is 2 into length plus width, which comes out to be 16 plus 4, 2 into 20. The answer is 40. The answer is D. The second strategy basically involves calculations. It states that you should not solve or multiply fractions. It's very simple. The purpose is to make sure that you save time. So whenever you have lengthy calculations, carry them along, especially when you have fractions. They will cancel out somewhere. You need to save every single second. Let me explain through a small example. Which of the following fraction is less than 1/3? So the first thing that you do is you underline the target answer. We need a fraction that is less than 1/3. Okay, now you need to understand that the examiner knows that you are high school students. You know how to solve fractions. The only thing he's trying to understand is how do you approach this kind of question. Okay, let's have a look at option choice A, 4/18. I don't know the exact answer of this, but I know if I simplify it, I will get 2/9. That's it. Leave it there. 4/12 is 1/3. You can easily eliminate this option. Why? Because our target answer states that we need a fraction that is less than 1/3. Okay, 3/5. There are a couple of fractions that you should know. Like 1/2 is 0.5, 1/3 is 0.33, 2/3 is 0.66. You should know these fractions. Similarly, 1/5 is 0.2. So if 1/5 is 0.2, 3/5 is you multiply this with 3, you multiply this with 3. So 3/5 equals 0.6. 0.6, which is way greater than 0.33. That is this. So you can also eliminate this option. 7/3 is already greater than 1, you can see, so you can eliminate option choice D as well. Although I don't know the exact value of 2/9, but I know this is the answer. You choose this and you move on. This is SAT. You cannot spend 1 minute on these kind of questions. If you do, that's a game changer. You need to save time and be intelligent with your calculations. Let's have a look at the third strategy, which basically states that whenever you have numbers in the answer choices, you put them back into the question to find the correct answer. So basically what I'm trying to do over here is I'm trying to convert algebra into arithmetic. This is something I will be doing throughout the session. I keep telling my students that this is layman's math. You should be able to make anyone understand through numbers. Algebra is like X, Y, Z. Arithmetic is like numbers. So we understand 2 plus 3 plus 4. We don't understand X plus Y plus Z. So imagine you already have an answer. Like one of these option choices contains an answer. So let's use them. Let's have a look at the question. What is the largest integer X? I will immediately underline this. This seems like to be one of the target answers. What is the largest integer X for which this expression 66 over 5x minus 4 is an integer greater than 1? Okay, so we've got two target answers now. One is this. We need the largest integer X for which this expression is an integer whole number greater than 1. Okay, now the approach over here is you start with the largest option. Because we need the largest integer, option choices will always be arranged in a chronological order. So the best strategy over here is to start with option choice D. When you choose D, you are satisfying this target answer. It's done. You have chosen the largest integer X. Now we have to see when we put 4 into this expression whether we get an integer or not. If we get an integer, we are done. 4 will be our answer. Now let's have a look. So if I put 4 into this expression, I will get 66 over 5 into 4 minus 4. That is 66 over 5 into 4, 20 minus 4 is 16. Now this is not an integer. You can calculate it, you will see it's not an integer. Hence, this target answer is not satisfied. Now what do? We move on to the next largest integer, which is 3. So if I choose 3 now, again I've satisfied this condition. Now I have the next largest integer and I have to see whether I get an integer when I put it into this expression or not. Let's try. 66 over 5 into 3 minus 4. What do I get? 66 over 15 minus 4, 11. Yes, I am getting an integer. Both the conditions have been satisfied, hence C3 is your answer.